Cincinnati 2026 ended in heartbreak for Alex Eala. But just when Filipino fans thought the story was over, one of the greatest names in tennis stepped forward.
Venus Williams.
And when Venus Williams speaks about another player, people listen. This is not just another tennis legend offering a routine compliment. Venus has actually shared the court with Alex. She has partnered with her in doubles. She has watched her game from close range. She has seen the talent, the personality, and the pressure that comes with being one of the Philippines' biggest sporting hopes. Now, after Alex's painful Cincinnati exit, Venus has delivered a message that could mean far more than fans initially realized. Because Venus isn't simply looking backward at a loss.
She is looking forward.
And her message appears to be about something much bigger than one disappointing match. It is about what Alex does next. Before we get to that, we have to understand why this moment carries so much weight. Alex Eala entered Cincinnati with enormous momentum. Just weeks earlier, she had captured her first WTA singles title in Washington. She had defeated world number 3 Jessica Pegula. She had already proven that top-ranked opponents were not beyond her reach. She had also reached the 4th round at Wimbledon and built a reputation as one of the most exciting young players emerging on the women's tour.
Then came Cincinnati.
And waiting on the other side of the net was Amanda Anisimova.
World number 10. A 9th seed.
A 2-time Grand Slam finalist. A player with enormous power and experience. But Alex had already defeated elite opponents before. So she stepped onto that court believing she could do it again.
And for a while, it looked like she might.
The opening set became a brutal battle. The 5th game alone lasted around 20 minutes. 13 deuces. 8 breakpoint opportunities for Anisimova. And somehow, Alex kept surviving.
Point after point. Pressure after pressure.
The Filipina refused to disappear. She fought back, found her opportunities, and eventually closed the opening set 6-4.
The stadium erupted. Philippine flags filled the stands. Fans believe. Alex believe.
For a moment, another major upset looked completely possible. But Anisimova had no intention of going quietly. The second set became another battle of patience. Both players held through the opening games. Then Anisimova finally found the opening she needed.
One break, one advantage.
And suddenly the American was in control. She held the lead and eventually forced the match into a deciding set.
1 set each.
Everything would now come down to one final battle. And this is where the heartbreak became almost unbearable. Alex started the 3rd set brilliantly.
She held serve. Then she broke Anisimova.
Suddenly, Alex was leading 2-0.
The crowd exploded again.
The momentum seemed to be completely on her side. Victory was no longer a dream. It was beginning to look possible. But tennis can change in seconds. And this match changed faster than anyone expected. Anisimova found another gear. Alex struggled to regain the momentum. The American broke again.
Then again.
And suddenly, the match that had looked like an Eala breakthrough was slipping away. Anisimova won 6 straight games to close out the match. The final score was 4-6, 6-4, 6-2. 2 hours and 28 minutes of extraordinary tennis ended in disappointment. Alex's Cincinnati campaign was finished. The Filipino supporters were devastated. And for Alex, the hardest part was knowing how close she had come. She had led the deciding set 2-0. She had been within touching distance of another statement victory. Then everything disappeared. But here's where the story takes a completely different turn. Because while Alex was processing the loss, someone who understands these moments better than almost anyone was watching.
Venus Williams.
And Venus is not simply a distant observer. She knows Alex personally. The two have played doubles together. Earlier in 2026, they teamed up at the WTA event in Bad Homburg and reached the quarterfinals. They reunited in Toronto later in the season. The result wasn't what they wanted, but the relationship between the two players went far beyond one scoreline. Venus had already made her feelings about Alex very clear. She described the young Filipina as a world star.
She praised her tennis.
But more importantly, she praised Alex as a person. She highlighted her character, her communication, and the way she carries herself.
That is important.
Because compliments about a player's forehand are one thing. Compliments about their character from a legend are something else. Venus has spent decades around elite athletes. She knows the difference between talent and potential. She knows what separates players who briefly attract attention from those who eventually build extraordinary careers. And she clearly sees something in Alex. Venus even suggested that Alex should put playing doubles with Serena Williams on her list one day.
Imagine that.
A young Filipina tennis player potentially sharing the court with both Williams sisters. That alone shows the level of respect Alex has earned. And Alex herself has spoken about how inspiring the Williams sisters have been. She has recognized what they have done for tennis and how much they have contributed to women in sports. So this isn't a one-way relationship. There is genuine admiration on both sides. And that brings us to Venus's message after Cincinnati. Now, There is an important distinction here. The exact wording of a specific post-Cincinnati message has not been formally documented in the source material, so this isn't about inventing a dramatic quote that Venus never gave. The significance comes from the message she has consistently delivered to Alex.
Enjoy yourself, keep working, learn from difficult moments,
and don't lose the joy that made you fall in love with tennis in the first place. That philosophy matters now more than ever, because Cincinnati could easily become the kind of loss that stays inside a young player's head.
Alex had the lead. She couldn't close it. The match slipped away.
For a player carrying the expectations of millions of fans, that can be difficult to process. But Venus appears to be offering a different perspective. Don't let the loss define you.
Use it, learn from it, then move forward.
And that is exactly the kind of lesson Venus is qualified to give. She has experienced pressure on the biggest stages imaginable. She knows what it means to lose important matches. She knows what it means to come back. And she understands something young players sometimes learn only after years on tour. A painful defeat can become one of the most valuable matches of your career. That is why Venus's support matters. She isn't telling Alex that everything is perfect. She is not pretending the Cincinnati collapse didn't happen. She is reminding her that one match cannot erase everything that came before it. Think about what Alex had already accomplished.
A first WTA title.
A victory over a world number 3.
Wins over elite opponents. A deep Wimbledon run. A growing global fan base.
And now, another 3-set battle against a top 10 opponent. That is not the resume of a player who doesn't belong. That is the resume of someone still climbing. And perhaps this is the biggest message hidden inside Venus's words. Alex doesn't need to become a champion overnight. She needs to keep becoming better. Because the jump from promising player to genuine contender isn't made through one tournament. It is built through hundreds of difficult moments. Some will end in victory. Others will end in heartbreak.
But all of them teach something.
And Alex now has another lesson from Cincinnati. She knows what it feels like to have a 2-set lead in the deciding set and watch it disappear. She knows what it feels like to have thousands of people behind her and still have to solve the match alone. She knows what it feels like to be close.
Very close.
That experience could become extremely valuable in New York. Because the US Open is next.
Flushing Meadows.
The biggest stage of the North American hardcourt season. And Alex will arrive there with something she didn't have a year ago.
Experience, recognition, confidence,
and the knowledge that she can compete with the world's best. But there is another reason the US Open could become enormous for Alex. The Filipino community in New York is massive, and Alex's growing popularity means her supporters have every reason to show up again. The Eala effect isn't disappearing because Cincinnati ended. If anything, the heartbreak may make fans even more determined to follow the next chapter. And commercially, Alex's rise is already becoming significant. Her Cincinnati run contributed to another important financial milestone, with her prize money pushing her career earnings beyond the $3 million mark according to the source material. At just 21 years old, that is remarkable. Her growing sponsorship portfolio also shows how quickly her profile is expanding.
Nike,
Globe Telecom, Babolat, Bank of the Philippine Island,
Milo Philippine,
Locally Juice. These aren't just endorsements, they are signs that Alex's influence is spreading beyond the tennis court. Her name is becoming a brand, her story is becoming an inspiration, and her results are becoming impossible to ignore. But none of that changes the immediate challenge. Alex now has to respond to Cincinnati. Will she allow the loss to become a source of doubt?
Or will she turn it into fuel?
Venus clearly believes the second option is possible. And perhaps that's why her support feels so important right now. She sees Alex as a world star. She has shared the court with her. She knows the person behind the headlines, and she understands that the road to greatness is rarely smooth. The Cincinnati loss was painful, but it was not the end.
It was a checkpoint.
A reminder that Alex still has work to do. A reminder that even when you are playing the best tennis of your career, the next level demands even more. And that may be exactly what Alex needs. Not someone telling her that she has already arrived, but someone reminding her that she is capable of going further. The US Open begins August 30th. That gives Alex a short window to recover, reset, and prepare.
No time to dwell.
No time to replay every missed point forever. The next opportunity is already waiting. And when she steps onto the court in New York, she won't just be carrying the memory of Cincinnati. She'll be carrying the lesson. That's what champions do. They take the painful moments and turn them into future strength. Venus Williams knows that better than most. And if Alex can absorb that lesson, Cincinnati could eventually become one of the most important losses of her young career.
Not because it stopped her, because it taught her.
Because it showed her exactly how close she already is. And perhaps that is the real meaning behind Venus Williams' message. She isn't looking at Alex and seeing a player who failed to close one match. She is seeing a player who has already reached a level worth investing in.
A player worth mentoring. A player worth watching.
a player who still has enormous room to grow.
And that should excite every Filipino fan.
Because Alex Eala is only 21. Her career is still in its early chapters. She has already made history. She has already defeated elite opponents. She has already won a WTA title. She has already inspired millions. And now she has something even more valuable: the attention of legends. Cincinnati ended with heartbreak, but Venus Williams has helped turn that heartbreak into perspective.
The message is simple: keep going, keep learning, keep the joy, keep fighting.
And most importantly, don't allow one painful night to convince you that you don't belong. Because Alex Eala does belong. The question isn't whether she deserves to be on these courts anymore. The question is how far she can climb. Can she make another deep Grand Slam run? Can she challenge even more top players? Can she turn her growing popularity into sustained success? And one day, could she become the champion that Filipino fans have been waiting for? Nobody knows the answer yet, but that is what makes the next chapter so exciting. The Cincinnati Open may have ended Alex Eala's tournament. It did not end Alex Eala's story. And with Venus Williams in her corner, the message from one legend to one rising star could not be clearer. Learn from the heartbreak.
Keep the passion, and come back stronger.
Because New York is waiting. The Philippines is watching. The tennis world is watching. And Alex Eala has another chance to show them exactly what she can become. So tell me in the comments, do you think Alex Eala can bounce back from Cincinnati and make a deep run at the US Open? Could Venus Williams' advice become the motivation Alex needs? And how far do you believe Alex can go in New York? If you're following Alex Eala through every victory, every setback, and every chapter of this incredible journey, subscribe and stay with us. Because Cincinnati may have broken Filipino hearts, but the story is far from over. The loss was one night. The journey is a career. And Alex Eala's biggest chapter may still be waiting.